Hell nah, dude, get out of here. No. No. Yes, I'm clickbaiting you. I'm making this video. I'm getting views. Whatever. But I feel like when it comes to Vancouver Canucks trade rumors, when there's a thing that's as big as this idea being tossed around in articles on the Hockey Now sources of websites, I gotta go out there and make a video about it, man. Let's head over on the Boston Hockey Now. Because a few days ago, you had yourselves a piece published by Jimmy Murphy. The article is titled this: Jimmy Murphy asks, should the Boston Bruins try to acquire Elias Pettersson? And there was another article actually published by Murphy a day before this one talking about Calgary Flames center Elias Lindholm. And if you're looking at that article, you're looking at this article, it's easy to see how everything coincides. The Boston Bruins, they need centers. David Krejci, retired. Patrice Bergeron, retired. Two guys, two legends, two Stanley Cup champions in Boston, both out in the same offseason. And Elias Lindholm of the Calgary Flames has been a pretty notable trade target in these discussions as to who could replace these guys. You have teams like Columbus, you have teams like Boston that have been tossed around in the Lindholm sweepstakes, but this article we're looking at from Murphy goes out there and asks about a different Swedish center. Should the Boston Bruins switch their focus on the trade market to Vancouver Canucks center Elias Pettersson? Now, the reason Murphy is writing this piece is because of that interview we had talked about the other day with Pettersson and Friedman. Yeah, the one on the boat, the one in Sweden, the one where we had the Oppenheimer thumbnail, which I was honestly kind of proud of to make because it looks pretty cool. But in this interview, Elias Pettersson says, I've got one more year left over here, and I don't want to rush into anything because I still don't know myself if it's going to be a short-term or a long-term thing. It's probably going to be my biggest contract so far, so I don't really want to stress anything. The conclusion that we had gotten from that Friedman interview is that the Canucks and Pettersson are not going to rush into any type of contract. They're not going to force anything right now. The negotiations are probably going to stop up until the end of next season, and as we had gathered from other Canucks-related insiders in this area, there was never really going to be an extension, this summer at least, between the Canucks and Pettersson. So, with this idea in mind, you have yourselves Murphy on Boston Hockey Now talking about how with Bergeron and Krejci retiring, there have been plenty of NHL trade rumors linking the Bruins to Calgary Flames center Elias Lindholm and Winnipeg Jets center Mark Scheifele. Like both of those players, Petey is heading into the final year of his current contract, but unlike those potential 2024 UFAs, Pettersson is set to being an RFA. More importantly, Pettersson is younger, he's only going to be 25, Lindholm will be 29, and Scheifele will be 31. The article then breaks down the differences. It's going to be linked in the description if you want to read more about this yourself, but it talks about Pettersson, it talks about Lindholm, talks about Scheifele, and then it asks at the end, what could be the trade cost for Elias Pettersson? It doesn't actually label any ideas here, but it just kind of asks the question. And so with this idea brought out there, it was pushed into the cyberspace, and I did see some people in my timeline just bringing it up, having a conversation, talking about Pettersson in Boston. I wanted to come into this video with my 2 cents over here. Pettersson said himself that he wants to play for a team that's got a good chance of winning continuously. He wants to be a part of a winner. Not saying the Boston Bruins are not a winning team, but without Bergeron and without Krejci, who knows how far this team goes next year? Sure, if you cut out Bergeron and Krejci and you add Petey, you're getting value back in Elias Pettersson. That's true. But is that enough to take over the role of 2 guys that were such strong forces in your top 6 for the past decade and a bit? I get it, Krejci wasn't here the entire time. He had left to go back home for a bit. But still, even though, in my opinion, Elias Pettersson is a franchise-caliber forward, even though he is very, very good, is he enough to replace 2 top 6 centers worth of players? I'm not too sure. And of course, the Bruins have a lot of cap space at their disposal with these guys coming off the books. The article says here there's about $28 million in cap space that the Bruins would be entering next offseason with. But at that time, you have only like 3 defensemen on the books that are going to actually be NHL guys. You're going to have to re-sign a bunch of bottom-tier forwards, and for all the good that Elias Pettersson and David Pastrnak could bring together, you have the facts here at hand. Marchand is 35 years old. Linus Ullmark is only on the books till 24-25. If this Boston Bruins team shells out the appropriate amount of money to a guy like Elias Pettersson to keep him around in Boston, either short-term, long-term, whatever, let's just say you sign him to a deal, who's gonna guarantee the Bruins are gonna be good into the future? We've been saying this the entire time. We'd been saying this when Chara was still back in the Bruins. Hey, their timeline is coming to an end. Bergeron, Marchand, Krejci, these guys are not getting any younger, and now two of them are gone. At the moment, you've got Charlie Coyle as your second-line center. At the moment, you've got Pavel Zacha, whom you're going to have to hope makes bigger strides this previous year. I know he was pretty good last season, but you have to hope he gets better. If he doesn't, then things are looking a little bit bleak here. If you get Elias Pettersson and everything works, let's just say you add him onto the team. Don't even talk about the trade return right now. Just say you add Petey. Even though that's a great ad, and even though you could actually have some pretty good combos going off here, Pastrnak with McAvoy, Marchand, Petey, and whatever on a power play sounds great, Pettersson wants to play on a winning team. And the way things stand right now, the Boston Bruins don't really have a direct avenue to remaining competitive into the longer-ish term future. I know everybody harps on the Vancouver Canucks prospect pool for not being all too great, but the Boston Bruins prospect pool is even worse. And the star players on each of these teams are younger on Vancouver. Quinn Hughes is younger than McAvoy. Sorry, that's just how it works. Thatcher Demko is younger than Linus Ullmark. Sure, you could say that some of the other guys in Vancouver are a bit older, like JT Miller, Brock Besser kind of in there, but Marchand is 35. Things are slightly edged out in Vancouver's favor when it comes to the Canucks looking like a more projectable team long-term to remain competitive. If you really wanted to cling on to hope for Boston and say that, okay, if you get Pettersson, that replaces Bergeron and Krejci, let's just say hypothetically that works that way. Sure, you could remain competitive, you could make a playoff run now, you could do whatever it is you want to do to get Marchand one more cup or whatever. Maybe this time with Lucic involved in the mix. But the entire reason we're even having this conversation, and the entire reason Canucks fans are a little bit perturbed about the way Petey's been talking about this entire thing, is because he said he wants to play on a winning team, and the Canucks have not shown off that they can be a winning team. The point is, the Boston Bruins might not have it in them to continue being a winning team beyond 23-24, even if you wanted to push it that far. So why would Petey want to go there? I get it, you could say trade for whatever, do whatever you need to do to make the team better in the immediate short-term future, especially when you have aging veterans trying to help you win the cup one more time. But this is not going to work. You're not going to make this work long-term, and there isn't a prospect in the Boston Bruins system that I feel is good enough to justify making a trade for Elias Pettersson for. Oh, what are you going to do? Throw in Fabian Lysell? Yeah, I know a lot of Canucks fans like Fabian Lysell because he played for the Vancouver Giants here. What are you going to send the Canucks back Michael DiPietro? Try to just load up whatever picks you can get? Hey, that actually might be pretty valuable because the Boston Bruins picks might not be all too high in the next few years once everybody retires and they're not really as competitive as they are anymore. And you're not going to touch your roster players either. If you're trading for Pettersson, you want to win short term, that kind of defeats the entire purpose if you're trading away roster spots. So, in my opinion, when I saw this article pop up, I saw a lot of people on Twitter talking about this. Oh, look at Boston hockey now. Pettersson to the Bruins. Oh, like, look at this crazy thing that's being talked about by writers in the Boston area. Like, no disrespect to Jimmy Murphy, of course. But I don't like the idea. I don't think it works. Which is why I'm making this video, to give my 2 cents out there into the world, because the article was given out into the world too. So, don't blame me for clickbaiting, y'all. Don't blame me for making the video and responding to this, because the article was there. It's linked in the description if you want to read more so about the ideas presented. It's a bit longer than what we showed in this video. There's a lot more content in the piece. But Pettersson to the Bruins. If you're a Boston fan, let me know your thoughts in the comment section about how you feel about Petey. If you're a Canucks fan, let's just say hypothetically Pettersson does get traded to the Bruins. Is there anything that you think actually makes this trade worth it for Patrick Allvin? And if there is, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.